This is another one with really beautiful cover design and color and stuff like that. I really like it. This one is Carnivale of Curiosities by Amiee Gibbs. This one's set in Victorian era London. So this is the story of a mysterious and magical traveling carnival. The Rose family made a pact with the cunning Ashe and Pretorius, owners of the carnival and magicians. And that made the Rose family rich, but it was a dark bargain and had a price. Now, Odilon Rose, hearing that they can cure the dying, wants to take Charlotte, his ward, to be brought back to health by them. But he's also working with the enemies of the circus to destroy it. Meanwhile, Lucien, Ashe's son, who has a clockwork heart and was raised from the dead, is haunted by his mother's ghost. What is the dark secret that the Carnival and his father is hiding from him? From what I can tell, this is the author's first book. She has worked in publishing and with Penguin for years, but I couldn't find another book by her. So I was really drawn to the beautiful cover design, and it's got a very cozy, it's very cozy and decadent looking, basically. And who doesn't love a beautiful book? And I love the idea of a traveling carnival or circus that has magical and steampunk elements to the story. The book tells us early on in the first few pages that this is a world where magic is real, but most people don't believe in it or know about it. And I felt like on some level, isn't that something that we all kind of secretly hope for? Hope is true. I liked that idea. When I started to read this, I really struggled to get into it at first and had to put it down and start again later. I really liked the dark and murky atmosphere and the opening scenes that were dramatic and hinted at darker things to come. Well, that stuff was great. But I struggled with the vision of London that the author was creating. It was going to sound harsh, but it felt a little bit like Dick Van Dyke doing a Cockney accent in Mary Poppins, sort of like an American's idea of London. But when I picked it up a second time, I found this was mostly just a couple of little missteps in the first chapter or two of the sort of world building of the story. And after that, I got into the book a lot more. And at that point, I started to have more of a good time. The book and the environs of the story have a Baroque theatrical lushness to them, which is really nicely done. Magic, velvet, teacups, gold fringed curtains, that kind of thing. There's a really nice vibe to the story, and it feels almost shiny, full of color and texture. The life on the ship that they travel on, it feels exciting and adventurous. And the theater they have in London, the circus owns a theater there. It's got clockwork elements to the stage design, so it's kind of dynamic and magical as well. These are all great details, and while there is rich, bright details here, there's also a really strong eye to darkness and things behind locked doors, death, blood and fog, illusion, and this gives the book a little bite. It's not a cute book. The characters who belong to the circus are a family, a chosen family, and I really liked that. It made it all the more warm and inviting to read about because they are a chosen family. There are people who would otherwise be sideshow freaks, but here they are allowed to shine, and they all feel like interesting individuals with their own stories and relationships. And they live on a boat that travels the world. I love this. There are quite a few characters to keep track of. I did forget once or twice who was who, but on the whole, I think that may have been a me thing rather than a failure of the book. Lucien and Charlotte are our leads in the book. Lucien is fun. He's called Lucien the Lucifer on stage, which is kind of fun. And he works with a magical fire. He sort of does tricks with fire. He's described as very handsome, but a tortured soul, which is fun in a male lead in this genre. The kind of tortured, handsome loner. His clockwork heart is such a great detail. I really liked that. Charlotte is the ward of Odilon, but she's more like his possession than his ward, really. He's in charge of taking care of her. And her fading away because she's ill, that felt very Victorian and this kind of desperate wanting to find a cure for her. So I like these two leads. I thought they were sort of well designed and interesting. So there are hints that she and Lucien are kind of a match for each other, some foreshadowing that they may end up together, but nothing really comes of this, which feels like disappointing. It's a failed plotline to me. It felt like the book was going to go somewhere with that, and then it just didn't. I'm not sure why the author shied away from having a stronger romance plot in this book. In fact, the book, while great at character and atmosphere, does have a fairly soft plotline, which means that at the end, it kind of loses its way a little bit for me with tying things up. I don't really want to say too much about that because it will spoil it, but I felt like Charlotte's ending did not match her character up until that point, and it didn't really offer anything meaningful to the reader. Felt a little bit rushed, kind of highly emotional, without the foundation for that really built into the plot preceding it. I'm not really convinced that the characters in this book go on a journey and kind of grow in the course of the book. They're the same at the beginning, at the end, really. Except for that weird Charlotte just suddenly does things that are really out of character. So the plot is not really driven by them, but they're hung upon it, and maybe that's a bit of a flaw. But I would say if this is a debut novel, I mean, it's really not bad. So to me, this is a little bit of an uneven one. I think the plot could have been tightened and deepened a little bit to match the rich atmosphere and character design. But there's something really charming here, and if you like the sound of a magical, dark, traveling circus and steampunk elements and things like that, it's well worth a look. And I'd like to thank Hachette Canada for the copy of this one for review. You can check out some of my other videos. I also have another channel and socials, so you can find links below if you want more of that. And if you want to hang out again, remember to like and subscribe. And you can always leave a comment, let me know what you thought, or let me know what else you might want to see. Thank you.